Welcome back to United HQ Update. I'm your host bringing you the biggest Manchester United transfer bombshells that are absolutely rocking Old Trafford right now. Breaking, triple transfer chaos at Manchester United. Red Devils fans, you need to sit down for this one because what I'm about to tell you will leave you absolutely stunned. We've got not one, not two, but three massive transfer sagas exploding simultaneously at Old Trafford, and Fabrizio Romano himself has been dropping hints that could change everything for United's summer. The stories that are breaking the internet. Story 1. The 60 million battle for Bryan Mbeumo. Manchester United are facing their biggest transfer test in years. Brentford won a staggering £60 million for their star forward, and guess what? Newcastle have just crashed the party. This isn't just about money, this is about United proving they can still compete with the elite. But here's the shocking twist. After missing out on Liam Delap to Chelsea, United are now in a desperate race against time. Story 2. Matheus Cunha, the £62.5 million deal that could save United's attack. Exclusive details on United's pursuit of the Wolves sensation. The Brazilian magician has been lighting up the Premier League, and United are ready to trigger his release clause. But wait, there's a massive problem with financial fair play rules that could derail everything. Ruben Amorim has made this his one priority, but can United actually afford their dreams? Story 3. The Alejandro Garnacho bombshell that nobody saw coming. This one will shock you to your core. Our very own academy graduate, the player we thought was the future of Manchester United, has reportedly told his agent to find him a move to, wait for it, Chelsea. The Europa League final decision by Amorim might have triggered the most heartbreaking departure in recent United history. Why this changes everything? Financial fair play crisis. United might need to sell 10 players just to fund new signings. The domino effect. One decision could determine whether United rebuild or continue their decline. Fabrizio Romano's latest. The transfer guru has been tracking all these stories, and his updates suggest we're heading for a crazy few weeks. What you'll discover in this video. The real reason Newcastle could steal Mbeumo from United, why Garnacho's agent is actively shopping him to Chelsea, the financial fair play rules that could destroy United's summer plans, exclusive analysis of Amorim's transfer strategy, the shocking truth about United's striker hunt after the Delap disaster, why this summer could define the next decade at Old Trafford. Red Devils fans, I'm telling you right now, this isn't just another transfer window. This is the summer that will determine whether Manchester United rises from the ashes or continues their painful slide into mediocrity. So smash that like button if you're ready for the most dramatic transfer coverage you've ever seen. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell because the next few weeks are going to be absolutely insane. Let's dive into the chaos that is Manchester United's summer of 2025. Manchester United face huge test over Bryan Mbeumo deal. Will they pay the price? Manchester United are about to face one of their biggest transfer tests in years. The Red Devils want Bryan Mbeumo from Brentford, but getting him won't be easy or cheap. With a price tag that could reach £60 million, United must decide just how badly they want the Cameroon forward. The Mbeumo situation, what's really happening? Bryan Mbeumo has been on fire for Brentford this season. The 25-year-old has scored goals and created chances that have caught the eye of top clubs across Europe. His pace, skill, and ability to find the back of the net make him exactly the type of player United need right now. But here's the thing, Brentford don't want to sell their star player on the cheap. Why would they? Mbeumo has been their best player and losing him would be a massive blow to their Premier League hopes. Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager, has been honest about the situation. He knows that if the right offer comes in, they might have to let their star go. That's just how football works for clubs like Brentford. They develop players, those players get better, and then bigger clubs come knocking with big money. Why United want Mbeumo so badly? United's interest in Mbeumo isn't just about getting another forward. They see him as someone who can solve multiple problems in their attack. The club wants to play him alongside other forwards in a system that gives them more options going forward. Think about it, United have struggled to create enough chances this season. They need players who can beat defenders, create space, and finish when the opportunity comes. Mbeumo can do all of these things. The player himself knows about United's interest. That's always a good sign when you're trying to sign someone. But here's where it gets tricky. United haven't actually sat down with Mbeumo's agents yet to discuss personal terms. That leaves the door open for other clubs to jump in. The money problem: can United afford him? This is where things get really interesting. Brentford want around £60 million for Mbeumo. That's a lot of money, even for a club like United. Compare that to Liam Delap, who Chelsea got for around £30 million, and you can see why United might be having second thoughts. The question United's bosses are asking themselves is simple: is Mbeumo worth twice as much as Delap? Both are young, both are talented, but Mbeumo has more Premier League experience and has proven himself at this level. United are also dealing with financial fair play rules. These rules stop clubs from spending too much money without bringing enough in. If United want to spend £60 million on Mbeumo, they might need to sell someone else first. Newcastle enter the race. Competition heats up. Just when United thought they had a clear run at Mbeumo, Newcastle United have joined the race. The Magpies are also looking for attacking players and see Mbeumo as a perfect fit for their system. Newcastle have money to spend and they're not afraid to use it. They've already shown they can compete with the biggest clubs when they really want a player. This makes things much harder for United. Interestingly, Newcastle also thinks £60 million is too much for Mbeumo. They believe £50 million would be a fair price. This could work in United's favor if they're willing to pay the full asking price. What Brentford really think? From Brentford's point of view, this is good business. They bought Mbeumo for much less than what they're asking for now. If they can get 50 to 60 million for him, they can reinvest that money in multiple players. Thomas Frank has been realistic about the situation. He's praised Mbeumo's achievements and admitted that selling him is likely if the right offer comes in. Frank knows that keeping unhappy players rarely works out well for anyone. The Brentford boss has also said he understands why big clubs are interested in Mbeumo. When a player performs like he has, interest from top clubs is natural. The question is whether those clubs are willing to pay what Brentford want. United's transfer strategy: the bigger picture. United's pursuit of Mbeumo is part of a bigger plan to rebuild their squad. The club knows they need to improve in several areas, and attack is definitely one of them. Getting Mbeumo would be a statement of intent from the new ownership. But United also need to be smart about how they spend their money. They can't just throw cash around without thinking about the consequences. Every signing needs to make sense both on and off the pitch. The club is reportedly close to signing Matheus Cunha for around £62 million. If they also get Mbeumo for £60 million, that's over £120 million on just two attacking players. That's a huge investment that needs to pay off. The Delap disappointment: how it changes things. United were originally interested in Liam Delap from Ipswich Town. Delap was available for around £30 million, which seemed like good value. But Chelsea swooped in and got the deal done, leaving United empty-handed. This setback has forced United to look at other options, and Mbeumo is now their top target. But going from a £30 million target to a £60 million one is a big jump. It shows how competitive the transfer market has become. The Delap situation also shows how quickly things can change in football transfers. One day you think you're close to signing a player, the next day they're joining your rivals. United can't afford to let that happen with Mbeumo. Financial fair play: the rules that matter. United need to be careful about financial fair play rules. These rules are designed to stop clubs from spending money they don't have. Break these rules and you face serious punishments, including points deductions. This means United might need to sell players before they can buy Mbeumo. The club has several players who could bring in good money, but finding buyers isn't always easy. The timing of any Mbeumo deal will be crucial. United need to make sure they have enough money to complete the transfer without breaking any rules. This adds another layer of complexity to an already complicated situation. What happens next? So where does this leave United and their pursuit of Mbeumo? The club faces several key decisions in the coming weeks. First, they need to decide if they're willing to pay Brentford's asking price. Second, they need to figure out how to fund the deal without breaking financial fair play rules. United also need to move quickly. The longer they wait, the more chance there is that another club will swoop in and steal Mbeumo from under their noses. Newcastle are already circling, and other clubs could join the race at any time. The player's contract situation adds urgency to the situation. Mbeumo's deal runs until 2026, with Brentford having an option for another year. This gives Brentford some power in negotiations, but it also means they might be willing to sell now rather than risk losing him for less money later. The fan perspective, what United supporters think. United fans are divided on the Mbeumo situation. Some think 60 million is too much for a player who's never played for a top 6 club. Others believe that good players cost money and United should pay what it takes to get their man. Many fans are frustrated by the club's recent transfer record. They've seen United miss out on targets before, and they don't want it to happen again. The Delap situation has only added to these frustrations. There's also the question of whether Mbeumo is the right type of player for United. Some fans want a more proven goal scorer, while others are happy to take a chance on a player who's shown real promise. Comparing Mbeumo to other options. When you look at the transfer market, £60 million for Mbeumo starts to make more sense. Good attacking players are expensive these days, and Mbeumo has several advantages over other options. He's already proven in the Premier League, which reduces the risk of the transfer not working out. He's also at a good age. 25 means he's experienced but still has his best years ahead of him. Compare this to buying a player from another league, where there's always a question mark over how they'll adapt to English football. Mbeumo has already shown he can handle the pace and physicality of the Premier League. The pressure on United's decision-makers. The people making decisions at United are under huge pressure to get this right. The club's recent performance means they need to show fans and players that they're serious about competing at the top level again. Getting Mbeumo would send a strong message that United are back in the market for top players. Missing out on him, especially to a rival like Newcastle, would be seen as another failure. The financial aspect adds to this pressure. Spending £60 million on a player who doesn't work out would be a disaster for United's transfer budget and their reputation in the market. What this means for Brentford. For Brentford, the Mbeumo situation is both an opportunity and a challenge. Selling him for £60 million would be fantastic business, but losing their best player would be a huge blow to their Premier League hopes. The money from selling Mbeumo could help Brentford buy several new players and strengthen their squad in multiple positions. But finding a replacement who can score goals and create chances like Mbeumo won't be easy. Thomas Frank and his team are probably already looking at potential replacements. They know that if the right offer comes in, they'll have to let Mbeumo go. Being prepared for that situation is crucial. The wider transfer market impact. The Mbeumo situation shows how the transfer market has changed in recent years. Even players from smaller clubs can command huge fees if they perform well enough. This has changed how clubs approach transfers. For United, it means they can't just expect to get players cheaply anymore. If they want quality, they need to pay for it. This is especially true for Premier League-proven players like Mbeumo. The situation also shows how competitive the market has become. Multiple clubs are now fighting for the same players, driving up prices and making deals more complicated. Looking ahead, what summer holds. As we head into the summer transfer window, the Mbeumo situation will be one to watch closely. United's decision on whether to pay Brentford's asking price will tell us a lot about their transfer strategy going forward. If United do sign Mbeumo, it would be a statement that they're willing to spend big on the right players. If they don't, it might suggest they're being more cautious with their money. Either way, United need to make sure they strengthen their squad this summer. Missing out on targets like Delap and potentially Mbeumo would leave them with a lot of work still to do. The bottom line. Manchester United face a crucial decision over Bryan Mbeumo. The Brentford star would undoubtedly improve their attack, but at £60 million, he doesn't come cheap. With Newcastle also interested and financial fair play rules to consider, United need to decide quickly whether they're willing to pay the price. This transfer could define United's summer and show whether they're serious about returning to the top of English football. The coming weeks will reveal whether United are willing to back their ambitions with the money needed to make them reality. One thing is certain, the Mbeumo saga is far from over, and it could have huge implications for everyone involved. Will United pay the price for Mbeumo, or will they once again miss out on a key target? Only time will tell, but the pressure is mounting on everyone at Old Trafford to make the right decision. Manchester United's summer transfer plans. What every fan needs to know. The summer transfer window is here, and Manchester United fans are asking the same question they ask every year. Will this finally be the summer we get it right? If you're like most United supporters, you've been through this cycle before. The hope, the excitement, the big promises, and then, well, let's just say the results haven't always matched the hype. But this summer feels different. With Ruben Amorim now in charge and the club clearly needing changes, there's a real sense that something has to give. So what can we actually expect from United in the coming months? Let's break down everything we know about the club's transfer plans, the money situation, and what it all means for the team we love. The transfer window that's already started. Here's something you might not know. The transfer window is actually already open. Not the main one we're all waiting for, but a special early window that runs until June 10th. This exists because of the new Club World Cup format, giving clubs a chance to make moves before the tournament. Why does this matter for United? Well, if the club is serious about getting their business done early and giving Amorim the players he needs, they could start making moves right now. No waiting around until late August like we've seen in previous years. The main summer window then opens on June 16th and runs through the rest of the summer. That gives United plenty of time to get their deals done, but only if they can sort out their biggest problem first: money. The Matheus Cunha deal, United's top target. Let's start with the good news. United seem very close to signing Matheus Cunha from Wolves, and this could be exactly the kind of signing that makes sense. Cunha had a great season with Wolves, scoring 17 goals and showing he can create chances as well as finish them. United have agreed to pay his release clause of £62.5 million, which might sound like a lot, but in today's market, it's actually reasonable for a player of his quality. What makes this signing smart? Cunha can play in that left-sided attacking midfielder role that Amorim likes to use. He's not just a goalscorer, he's someone who can link up play, create chances for others, and add that spark United's attack has been missing. But here's the question every fan is asking. Is Cunha really going to solve United's attacking problems? He's a good player, no doubt, but United need more than one good attacking player. They need a whole system that works. The deal isn't done yet though. United and Wolves are still talking about how to structure the payments. This is where things could get tricky, especially given United's financial situation. The striker hunt, Plan A, falls through. Every United fan knows the club needs a proper striker. Someone who can score 20-plus goals a season and be relied upon in big moments. For a while, it looked like Liam Delap from Ipswich Town was going to be that player. Delap had been United's main target for the striker position. Young, talented, and available for a reasonable price. He seemed perfect. But then Chelsea came in, and now it looks like he's heading to London instead. This leaves United back at square one in their striker search. And this is where things get interesting because the names being mentioned now are much bigger and much more expensive. Victor Gyökeres from Sporting Lisbon is one option. He's been scoring goals for fun in Portugal and has that physical presence United need up front. Victor Osimhen from Napoli is another possibility, a proven goalscorer at the highest level. But here's the problem. Both of these players will cost a lot more than Delap would have. And both will probably want to play in the Champions League. United can't offer that next season. This raises a big question. How much will United's lack of Champions League football hurt their transfer plans? Top players want to play in the biggest competitions, and right now, United can't offer that. The money problem. Why United can't spend like before? Let's talk about the elephant in the room, money. Or rather, the lack of it. United might be one of the biggest clubs in the world, but they can't just spend whatever they want anymore. Financial fair play rules mean clubs have to balance their books, and United have been spending big for years without getting the results to match. Ruben Amorim has been honest about this. He's told fans that even if United had qualified for the Champions League, they still wouldn't be able to spend freely this summer. The rules are the rules, and United have to follow them. What does this mean in practice? It means United need to sell players before they can buy new ones. And we're not talking about selling one or two squad players. The club might need to sell up to 10 players this summer. This creates a tricky situation. United need to improve their squad, but they also need to make money from sales. How do you balance those two needs? Who might leave Old Trafford? If United need to sell players to raise funds, who might be heading for the exit door? The honest answer is that almost everyone is potentially available for the right price. United have a bloated squad full of players who either don't fit Amorim's system or haven't lived up to expectations. Some players might leave because they want more playing time. Others might be sold because United need the money. And a few might go because they simply haven't been good enough. The challenge is finding buyers who are willing to pay decent fees for United's unwanted players. It's one thing to want to sell someone, but it's another thing entirely to find a club willing to pay what you're asking. This is where United's transfer strategy gets complicated. They can't just focus on who they want to bring in, they also have to think about who they can realistically move on. What other positions need strengthening? Beyond the Cunha signing and the striker search, United have identified other areas that need attention. Goalkeeper is one of them. Andre Onana had his ups and downs last season, and while he's likely to remain the number one, United want to bring in someone who can challenge him for the position. Competition usually brings out the best in players, and Onana might benefit from having a genuine rival for his spot. Midfield is another area of concern. United have players in that area, but do they have the right players? Amorim's system requires specific types of midfielders, and the current squad might not have what he needs. The question is, can United address all these positions in one summer window? Given their financial constraints, they might have to prioritize and tackle some areas now while leaving others for future windows. The Amorim factor. What does the new manager want? Ruben Amorim is still relatively new to Manchester United, but he's already making his mark on transfer planning. Unlike some previous managers who seem to want completely new squads, Amorim appears to be taking a more measured approach. He knows the financial situation. He understands the constraints. And he seems focused on getting players who fit his specific system rather than just buying big names. This could actually be good news for United fans. How many times have we seen the club sign expensive players who don't fit the team's style of play? Amorim seems determined to avoid that mistake. But it also means patience might be required. Building a team that works together takes time, and United fans might need to accept that this rebuild could take a couple of transfer windows rather than happening all at once. The Champions League factor. How much does it matter? United's failure to qualify for the Champions League last season has consequences beyond just missing out on European nights at Old Trafford. Top players want to play in the Champions League. It's where reputations are made and where the biggest prizes are won. When United can't offer that, they're immediately at a disadvantage in the transfer market. This doesn't mean United can't sign good players. But it might mean they have to look at different types of players, maybe younger talents who see United as a stepping stone, or experienced players who prioritize other factors over European competition. The lack of Champions League football also affects United's finances. The competition brings in significant revenue, and missing out means less money available for transfers. What this means for United fans. So what should United supporters expect from this transfer window? First, expect some activity early on. The Cunha deal suggests United are trying to get business done quickly rather than leaving everything until the last minute. Second, expect the club to be careful with money. This isn't going to be a summer of massive spending sprees. Every signing will need to be justified financially. Third, expect some big departures. United need to sell players, and some of those departures might surprise fans. Fourth, don't expect United to solve all their problems in one window. The financial constraints mean this rebuild will take time. The bigger picture, building for the future. While it's natural to focus on individual signings, the bigger question is whether United are building something sustainable. For too long, the club has made reactive signings without a clear long-term plan. Players have been bought to fix immediate problems rather than to build a cohesive team. Amorim's approach seems different. He appears to have a clear idea of how he wants his team to play, and the transfer targets reflect that vision. This might mean some short-term pain for long-term gain. United fans might have to watch their team struggle in some areas while the club focuses on others. But if it leads to a more balanced, effective team in the long run, it could be worth it. Questions that need answering. As we head into this transfer window, there are several key questions that will determine United's success. Can United actually sell the players they need to sell? Having a long list of players you want to move on is one thing, but finding buyers is another. Will top targets be willing to join United without Champions League football? The Osimhen and Gyökeres links sound exciting, but would these players really choose United over clubs offering European competition? How quickly can United adapt to their new financial reality? The club has been used to spending big, but those days might be over for now. Can Amorim work with a squad that might not be complete? If United can't address every position this summer, the manager will need to make do with what he has. The road ahead. This summer transfer window could define United's next few years. Get it right, and the club could be back on track toward competing at the highest level. Get it wrong, and it could be several more years of disappointment. The signs so far are cautiously positive. United seem to have a clearer plan than in recent years, and Amorim appears to be a manager with a strong vision for how he wants his team to play. But football is unpredictable and transfer windows even more so. United fans have been disappointed before, and there's always the chance things won't go according to plan. What's certain is that change is coming to Old Trafford. The question is whether it will be the kind of change that United fans have been hoping for. The next few weeks will tell us a lot about the direction this club is heading. And for United supporters who have been through so many false dawns, this summer might finally provide some genuine reasons for optimism. After all, every great comeback has to start somewhere. Could this be where United's begins? Is Alejandro Garnacho really done at Manchester United? When a young player who once looked like the future of Manchester United starts talking about leaving, you know something has gone seriously wrong. Alejandro Garnacho, the 20-year-old winger who captured hearts with his skill and passion, is now at the center of one of the biggest transfer stories this summer. But how did we get here? Just months ago, Garnacho was the bright spark in United's often disappointing season. Now, he's reportedly telling his agent to find him a move to Chelsea. The question every United fan is asking is simple: how did it all go wrong so quickly? The Europa League final that changed everything. The story really begins in Bilbao, where Manchester United faced Tottenham in the Europa League final. For most fans, this was meant to be the highlight of an otherwise forgettable season. Instead, it became the moment that might have sealed Garnacho's fate at Old Trafford. Picture this: you're a 20-year-old who has played in every round of the Europa League campaign. You've helped your team reach the final. You're excited, ready to show the world what you can do on the biggest stage. Then your manager tells you that you'll be starting on the bench. That's exactly what happened to Garnacho. Ruben Amorim, United's manager, decided to leave the young Argentine out of his starting 11 for the most important game of the season. The decision backfired spectacularly as United lost 1-0 to Spurs, and Garnacho only got 20 minutes to try and make a difference. After the game, Garnacho didn't hide his disappointment. Speaking to reporters, he said something that sent shockwaves through the United fanbase. Until we reached the final, I played every round. And I played 20 minutes today, I don't know. Those words might seem simple, but they carried a lot of weight. Here was a young player questioning his manager's decision in public. In football, that's often the beginning of the end. What went wrong this season? To understand why Garnacho is thinking about leaving, we need to look at United's season as a whole. The young winger was brutally honest about the team's performance, and his words painted a picture of frustration that many fans could relate to. We didn't beat anyone in the league. We lacked a lot of things. When you don't score goals, you always need more, Garnacho said after the final. Think about that for a moment. A 20-year-old player is pointing out that his team, Manchester United, didn't beat anyone significant in the Premier League. That's not the kind of thing you expect to hear from someone at one of the world's biggest clubs. But was he wrong? United's season was indeed disappointing. They struggled to beat top teams, they couldn't score enough goals, and they often looked lost on the pitch. For a young player with big dreams, watching your team fail week after week must be incredibly frustrating. Garnacho came through United's academy with dreams of winning trophies and playing at the highest level. Instead, he found himself at a club that seemed to be going backwards. Can you really blame him for wanting something different? The manager's response. Ruben Amorim's decision to bench Garnacho for the final was controversial, but what happened next was even more surprising. According to reports, Amorim has told Garnacho to find a new club. This is where things get interesting. Did the manager make this decision because of Garnacho's public comments? Or was it part of a bigger plan to reshape the squad? We might never know the full story, but one thing is clear: the relationship between player and manager seems to be broken. Some fans might say that Garnacho was wrong to criticize the team publicly. Others might argue that he was just being honest about a frustrating situation. What do you think? Should young players keep quiet when things aren't going well, or do they have a right to speak their minds? Chelsea come calling. When Chelsea heard that Garnacho might be available, they didn't waste any time. The London club has been building something special under their new ownership, and they see the young Argentine as a perfect fit for their project. According to reports, Garnacho has made it clear to his agent that he wants to stay in the Premier League, and Chelsea is his preferred destination. This makes perfect sense when you think about it. Chelsea are building a team full of young, talented players. They'll be playing in the Champions League next season. They have the money to compete for the biggest trophies. For a 20-year-old with big ambitions, it must look like the perfect opportunity. The club tried to sign Garnacho in January but couldn't agree on a fee with United. Now, with the players seemingly available and motivated to leave, they have a much better chance of getting their man. But why Chelsea over other interested clubs? Reports suggest that Garnacho believes the Premier League is the best place to establish himself as a world star. He's probably right about that. The Premier League gets more attention than any other league, and successful players there become global superstars. The money side of things. Football transfers are always about money, and this one is no different. Manchester United reportedly want around £60 million for Garnacho, though some reports suggest they might accept less. That might sound like a lot of money for a 20-year-old, but in today's market, it's probably fair value. Garnacho has shown real quality, he's still young with room to improve, and he's proven he can perform in the Premier League. For United, selling Garnacho would bring in significant money that they could use to strengthen other areas of the squad. The club needs major investment, and £60 million could help fund several new signings. For Chelsea, £60 million is a reasonable price for a player who could be a key part of their team for the next decade. They've already shown they're willing to spend big on young talent, and Garnacho fits perfectly into that strategy. What this means for United? If Garnacho does leave, it will say something important about the current state of Manchester United. When you can't keep hold of your best young players, it usually means something is seriously wrong. United have always prided themselves on developing young talent. The club's academy has produced some of the greatest players in football history. But what's the point of having a great academy if your best graduates want to leave as soon as they break through? This isn't just about Garnacho. It's about the message his departure would send to other young players at the club. If a talented 20-year-old can't see a future at United, what does that say about the club's direction? Some fans might argue that selling Garnacho is the right move if he doesn't want to be there. Football is about players who are committed to the cause, and if Garnacho's heart isn't at United anymore, maybe it's better for everyone if he leaves. But other fans will see this as another example of the club's decline. Once upon a time, Manchester United was the club that young players dreamed of joining. Now, it seems like the club that young players dream of leaving. The bigger picture. The Garnacho situation is about more than just one player. It's a symptom of Manchester United's bigger problems. The club has been struggling for years to find its identity and direction. Think about it. In the past few years, United have had multiple managers, signed dozens of players, and spent hundreds of millions of pounds. Yet they still can't compete with the best teams, and now they're losing their most promising young players. What would it take to convince Garnacho to stay? Probably a complete transformation of the club. New ownership, better players, a clear vision for the future. But can United deliver that quickly enough to change the young winger's mind? The clock is ticking. Summer transfer windows don't last forever, and Chelsea won't wait around indefinitely. If United want to keep Garnacho, they need to act fast and show him that they're serious about becoming successful again. What happens next? So where does this leave us? Garnacho seems determined to leave, Chelsea are ready to pay the asking price, and United appear willing to sell. All the pieces are in place for a summer transfer that could define the next phase of several careers. For Garnacho, a move to Chelsea could be the perfect next step. He'd join a young, ambitious team with excellent facilities and top-level coaching. He'd play in the Champions League and compete for major trophies. Most importantly, he'd be wanted and valued. For Chelsea, signing Garnacho would be another statement of their intent. They're building something special, and adding one of the Premier League's most promising young wingers would strengthen their squad significantly. For United, losing Garnacho would be another blow to their reputation and their future. But it might also force them to take a long, hard look at what they're doing wrong and how they can fix it. The fan perspective. As a United fan, how should you feel about all this? It's complicated. On one hand, losing a talented young player is always disappointing. On the other hand, if Garnacho doesn't want to be at the club, is there any point in keeping him? Some fans will be angry with Garnacho for wanting to leave. They'll say he should fight for his place and help the club get back to the top. Others will understand his frustration and wish him well wherever he goes. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Garnacho isn't the villain in this story, but neither is he entirely blameless. He's a young player making decisions about his career, and sometimes those decisions hurt the clubs and fans who supported him. What's most important is that United learn from this situation. If they keep losing young talent, they'll never get back to where they want to be. Something needs to change, and it needs to change soon. Looking forward. Whether Garnacho stays or goes, one thing is certain. This story has highlighted some uncomfortable truths about Manchester United's current situation. The club that once attracted the world's best players is now struggling to keep hold of its own academy graduates. For United fans, this summer could be crucial. If the club can convince Garnacho to stay and shows real ambition in the transfer market, maybe there's reason for optimism. But if he leaves and United make the same mistakes they've been making for years, the future looks uncertain. The next few weeks will tell us a lot about where Manchester United is heading. Will they fight to keep their best young talent, or will they accept that being a selling club is their new reality? One thing is for sure. Will they fight to keep their best young talent, or will they accept that being a selling club is their new reality? One thing is for sure. The decision Garnacho makes this summer could shape the next decade of his career. At 20 years old, he has the talent to become one of the world's best players. The question is, will he do it at Manchester United or somewhere else? Whatever happens, football fans everywhere will be watching. Because this isn't just about one player or one transfer. It's about the changing face of football and what it means for clubs, players, and fans alike. The Garnacho saga is far from over, and how it ends could determine not just his future, but the future of Manchester United itself.